So something I learned the hard way, time and time again, I should say, because this isn't the first time that I've had a dealership try to lie to me, try to talk me into buying something that wasn't in my best interest. So, long story short, I've had a handful of bad experiences, and in Iowa, I found somebody that was a good salesman, and he took care of me, and it was great. Always gave me good deals, things like that. I bought like 5 cars from him. Most notably, my two favorites, Nissan Altima that had everything I wanted basically for super cheap, super cheap. He gave me a great deal on it. And then a Duramax that he gave me credit for, a car that I purchased from him. And then like a couple months later, it just wouldn't start. Needed a bunch of money. He's like, either you could bring it here and I could fix it for you free of charge, just by the part, or you could take credit for it. And then by the end of it, he was just like, "I'll just give you both." You could get a credit for it, and if you want, you can keep it and do whatever you want with it. Bring it here, I'll fix it for you, whatever. So I was like, I don't really want to deal with it, so I ended up selling it for $400, as is that type of situation. So anyway, I've just had some bad experiences overall. My other experience was when a dealership, had I generally like to, and by the way, it's best to speak to a bank beforehand, because sometimes dealerships will give you incentives like $750 off, $1,000 off for financing with us, and that's great and all, but they're making a percentage of the sale. So ultimately, they'll either get a percentage or a percentage of the finance costs will go to them throughout the life of the loan. That's just the deal they have with the banks. It depends. So anyway, they were like, "We realize you have this pre-approval, but let us take the credit for it, and you'll still get the pre-approval, you'll still get the deal, it'll be perfect, we'll both benefit, we'll give you a discount," that type of thing. And I was like, whatever, like, get me in the car. That's what I wanted. This was my first nice car. It was a 2013 Ford Fusion back in 2015. So, I mean, it was relatively new. It was certified, everything. So, I let them do it. And they were like, yeah, they came back and they decided against it. You just don't make enough money, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. And so, eventually I was just like, you know what? Forget about it. Either do the pre-approval or I'll go to somebody else that can do it. Because you have to remember, like, don't ever get to a point where you're desperate enough to bend over backwards for them. You're buying a car from them. Your money is going to them. And yeah, you're buying a car from them. They should be working and bending over backwards for you. So anyway, I tell them to get my financing together with the pre-approval. And within minutes, they're like, "Oh, you were right. The pre-approval went through, blah, blah." And I was like, exactly what I said. So, get the car. And then a few months later, my brother-in-law is in the same situation. He wanted a car. He wanted the car that I had. Only he wanted I think it was like 14, 15 Fusion. Different leather, loaded out, completely loaded, all-wheel drive, basically everything you could ask for in a car, right? So I find him it, because I look good, for good deals. I find him in the car. The price point is where he wants to be. I negotiate it with my salesman, because I made a good reputation with the Ford salesman at this time. I had good rapport with the salesman, because I had bought a couple cars and he's taking care of me. So he was my guy whenever somebody needed a car. So anyway, long story short, same situation. I get him pre-approved. I get him in the car that he wants. Everything's good, everything's great. Same deal. They're like, just let us take credit for it. Same story. We'll get money for it. We'll give you a discount. I think it was like $500 at this point. They get thousands, by the way. And I was like, no, I don't want to deal with it. I had this happen to me a while back, and I don't want to deal with it. I'm gonna just do the pre-approval. And they're like, well, we can't do it. I'm like, the pre-approval's there. You're part of the network of dealerships. There's literally zero reason you should be able to do this. It's pre-approved. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to do paperwork, no documentation on your end, with the exception of just a general paperwork. And they're like, well, let us take care of it for you. We'll go through the pre-approval process. So they come back and they're like, we couldn't do it. And I'm like, what do you mean you couldn't do it? The pre-approval's there. There's no like negotiations with the banks, no dealing with banks. Like, they said yes already. There's no reason. They're like, well, we tried to speak to them on our own, and we couldn't do it. And I'm like, that's not what I told you to do. Mind you, my brother-in-law sitting right there. He's none the wiser. I've bought tons of cars. I mean, this was his first new used car. And I was like, quit bullshit me. Take the pre-approval, give them the number, and the deal will go through. Like, there's no question about it. And so they go back. 5 minutes later, they're like, you're right. The finance manager comes out, the used car manager comes out, and they're both like, you're absolutely right. That we were wrong, basically, more or less. I know from now on is what they said. I know from now on to go with the pre-approval and not continue. So drove off on this car, with this car, and I found right before we moved, we were looking at trucks because we wanted a truck for moving and being able to rent a U-Haul and that type of stuff, and just being able to haul stuff around. So stupidest decision I've ever made. I had this car. I had the Fusion for about a year. I lost thousands of dollars. The only thing that saved me was I had a hail damage claim a while back for like $4,000. So I saved, I didn't lose as much money as I could have. But I also factored in the fact that we had driven a lot to Minnesota, to Iowa, back and forth. So by this point, we had put like 30 to 40,000 miles in a single year. That's a lot of miles. The average is, I think, 12,000. So, but the car treated us right. It was a beautiful drive. We enjoyed it. And then, we needed a truck at the point. Well, I should say we wanted a truck, because smartest decision would have just been to pay off the car, finish paying it off, and then just get something else. But I didn't have any negative equity, so I was like, whatever. If you guys paid off, she's yours. Take care of it. And to top it off, a little known fact, if you buy an extended warranty, you could put it towards a car, assuming. So like in this case, I had a Ford extended warranty, so they were able to just take the money back. I think it was like $800 since it was only a year. No, it was $1,200 because it was only a year. So plus the miles, removing the miles, so that was $800 that was lost. But anyway, so I went to go buy the truck, in the same damn situation. It was, I told him, I said, I've been through this twice. Just get the pre-approval through my bank, and we'll get it taken care of. Like, you don't have to worry about anything. I'll be in and out. I won't be stressed out, dealing with dealerships. And it never fails. It's always so stressful dealing with dealerships because they want to make their money. So, same situation. They're like, yeah, okay, we'll do the pre-approval. So the car financier decided to go back and make a phone call as the dealership and try to deal with the bank as a dealership. And again, I got denied. Um, I got denied, and more or less, uh, mind you, before this, I had personally spoken to my banker. I have bought 4, 5, 6 cars with this banker. I worked with him a lot. My credit wasn't phenomenal, but he knew me. He knew my integrity. He knew I would make the payments, and I made payments early. I made payments in advance. I paid 2 months in advance. That type of thing. So I had built a rapport with the banker, which is good to do, by the way. Credit unions are great. So anyway, I built a relationship with this banker, and so I had a deal worked out before anything happened. He said, "Get me a car that meets the NADA value. Just go online, look it up with the vehicle that you find, and if the vehicle's worth more on NADA, then you're good." I was like, "All right, perfect." So I had a down payment, so it would have been significantly more anyway. So she calls the finance manager, whoever, for the credit union central office or something. Not my guy, not the person I told her that I was working with, but somebody completely different. So this gal is above my banker. Again, she's a finance manager, uh, and she's like, absolutely not. Like it just doesn't look good. Blah blah. Um, and she comes back. She's like, "You're denied. Like this isn't gonna work out." I'm like, "So you spoke to my banker, right?" She's like, "Oh no, I spoke to our contact over there. She's the finance manager. She's above your banker, so it would have worked out if it was possible." I was like, "That's not what I told you to do. This is the third time." I said, "This is the third time that I've had to deal with it myself, and you've caused me more of a headache." And that was stupid on my part, but I had a guy at this Ford corporate dealership, no less, um, and so I had to go call my banker again, and I was like, "Hey, they were stupid, more or less," because he said, "Make sure if they give you crap, if they give you that crap, if they want to go through it themselves and call and try to get a deal and make some money off of you, make sure they call me first, because I have to deal with it and I have to go through it to get the paperwork ready and whatnot." I was like, "All right, perfect." But anyway, so they didn't, and he's like, "Well, you're kind of screwed right now because you were approved through me, but the manager overrode me. So that's the central office. So I can't do anything about it." I was like, "Make it happen. Tell me what I have to do." Great thing about credit unions is they won't say no, you're denied right off the bat. They'll say no, you're denied because we need $1,000 down payment, $2,000 down payment. You need to knock this off your credit for us to be comfortable loaning to you. So I put enough of a down payment, and I got a deal worked out. Again, stupid mistake. I should have just walked away there, and ultimately I moved away. So I was like, I'm done. I need to find my next dealership, my next salesman, whoever I'm going to work with. Private party is great, but people are going to be just as dishonest as the salesman. They're people. They want to get their car sold. They don't care whether it's negligence or whether they legitimately are trying to get one over you. There's going to be something wrong with the used car anyway. So so I come down here. There was a Ford. I never learned. There was another Ford dealership. Well, it was a Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, whatever. So I was like, you know what? we need to sell this vehicle. We need to sell our vehicles. We had the Ford. No, we had a Chevy Avalanche, and then we had God, what was the other car? Yeah, I don't even remember at this point. Anyway, we had two vehicles, or maybe one vehicle. I don't remember. But anyway, we had vehicles, and we had to get rid of them because we had car payments on them, and we wanted to get a house, so uh, went to this dealership. Went to this dealership. Um, I was shocked. I was shocked when I found out I was gonna lose money on this truck. Luckily, I had a down payment previously. Again, stupid mistake going through cars like underwear. You lose a lot of money. So anyway, um, I was gonna lose money on this truck, but I thought it was gonna be like thousands beyond what what I would be happy with. Um, but ultimately, I got $1,000 back. It was $2,000. I can't remember. I got some money back. Plus, I got a discount on the vehicle that I was looking at. It was a Toyota Camry, something cheap that I could pay cash for. Um, get rid of debt altogether. And so that I got taken care of. So I kept coming back to this guy. But he left, and I had been through a couple. Anyway, long story short, I've been around. This is going for a while now, but I've been around. So the most recent, the most recent situation is I was looking at my WRX as I mentioned in a video previously. Um, but I was previous to that I was looking at um Ford Mustang GT because that's what I really want. Just V8 and like raw power. And I was looking at this car, and it was a little rough, but it was a great deal. It was like $14,000. Um. Anyway, so go look at this car. And because of COVID, they had you had to make an appointment, all this stuff. But I called, and I had a salesman say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm ready for you. Like, come on in. We'll take care of you." So I come in, and he's like, "What could I do for you?" And I was like, "I'm looking at this car, um, and I'm interested in just checking it out, seeing if it's right for me." And he's like, "So would you be ready to buy it? If would you be ready to buy it?" And I said, "Well, if it's the right car for me, then absolutely, I'll take it off your hands today. But if it's not, I won't." And he kind of gave me this look, and he's like, "Well, what are you here for then?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "What's your goal today?" And I was like, "My goal today is to find the right car. If you have it, then I'll buy it. If not, then I won't buy it. Simple as that." So anyway, um, I don't know if it was because I was dressed bummy or whatever the case may be. I don't dress nice to go to the car dealership because then they take advantage of you. But that stereotype is true, by the way. But anyway, so uh, told him I want to look at this car. We're waiting. 5 minutes go by. He's walking around. Looks like he's doing something. 15 minutes go by. He starts helping another customer. I was like, if he's answering question, no big deal. But then he goes to the stand, and I overhear them say, "Well, if you think you could afford it, then by all means." And I was like, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, so not immediately. I didn't immediately think that it was about me, but given the benefit of the doubt, he goes and talks to another customers, looking at stuff, whatever. He had my number, mind you. But I left. But after about 20-25 minutes, I was just like, I'm done. If it's that much of a hassle, if it's customer is that much of a problem, then I'm not gonna stay here. But immediately, I posted on Google. I posted a review of the dealership, of my experience of the salesman. Um, and about 2 days later, This was the day that I was due to go see the WRX. Um, the sales, I think, no, it was GM had called me. The general manager of the store or the owner, I don't know who it was exactly, but one of them called me. And he's like, I heard about your experience. Like, that's not what we stand for, whatnot. And I was like, well, I stood there for 20, 25 minutes and he was just walking around in circles. And then I overheard the conversation. Like, I might have misunderstood. I realized that, but ultimately, I wasn't helped the way I should have been. I was interested in that vehicle. I had the money to buy it. I had the bank lined up, I should say. And I don't think it was right. He was like, yeah, no, absolutely not. And then he said, I don't know how true this is, but he said that when he said, if you can afford it, he was talking about a salesman or something because somebody else was interested in it. But he moved me to the top of the list, and so I was, if I wanted it, it was still available, and he would give me a good deal on it. And I was like, what's the bottom? What's the least you can do? And he's like, well, I'm in on it for 15. So if you want to buy it for 14.7, I'll sell you this car and whatnot. And it sounded like a good deal at the time because it was posted for 16. So it was, 1,000 some change off. And so I was like, that sounds great. So go see the WRX. Everything's fine. Um, but I decided to buy the WRX just, if not on principle, on the fact that, the WRX was a better choice ultimately for me, just for my needs. But some days I think, I should have taken that dive and bought the Mustang, but at the same time, I would have been down another $5,000, which I don't like, being in huge debt. So, my payments are exactly where I want them to be, and I won't have to buy a second car, so I'm good. But ultimately, just know that when you're looking for the perfect car, you're gonna have to deal with some bullshit. Even if you know the car you want, if you know you have your money lined up, you have your bank lined up, they're gonna try to get you to finance if you have the money, cash. They're gonna try to get you to finance with them if you have the bank lined up. Just be prepared to deal with all that stuff. But yeah, and on to the next one.